Hello students, this video explains the second part of the lesson environmental management. First we are going to deal about the biogas. What is biogas? Biogas is commonly called as gobar gas. The gobar term came from Hindi, which means cow dung, because the starting material or the primary material which is used for the preparation of the biogas is cow dung. Biogas is produced by the decomposition of animal waste and plant waste in the absence of oxygen, that is by anaerobic respiration. The animal waste and the plant waste are decomposed, during which biogas is produced. Biogas is a mixture of methane. So methane is present for nearly 75% along with hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. What are the uses of biogas? Biogas can be used as a fuel for cooking. It can be used to run motors and pump sets. It is also used to generate electricity. And what are the advantages of biogas? Biogas burns without producing any smoke, and so it causes less pollution. It becomes an excellent way to get rid of this organic waste, because organic waste is only used for the production of biogas. So bio waste and sewage material are got ridden with the help of biogas production. The leftover, which is called the slurry in the biogas plant, is a good manure which is rich in nitrogen and phosphorus, and it is used as fertilizer in the field. It is safe and convenient to use the biogas. Biogas can also reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emitted into the atmosphere. What is meant by shale gas? Shale gas refers to the soft, finely stratified sedimentary rock. It is a natural gas that is present in between the inner layers of the earth, in between the sedimentary rock, which contains the mud and the minerals such as quartz and calcite. And this gas, this natural gas, is trapped inside the earth's surface. This sedimentary rock contains the fossil fuels like oil and gas in their pores, and this fuel is extracted by a technique called hydraulic fracturing, that is by drilling and boring the sedimentary rock layers to reach this fuel which is produced inside the rocks. What are the environmental concern of this shale gas? Shale gas is got by drilling, and this could affect the groundwater's reserves, because when drilling it can contaminate the drinking water sources and can affect the fertility of the soil also. Million gallons of water is needed to break and release the shale gas from this sedimentary rocks, and this in turn can affect the water table. So these are the environmental concerns of extracting shale gas from the sedimentary rock. Next we are going to learn about water energy. Earth's surface is covered with nearly 71% of water. By harnessing this energy from the flowing water, we can produce electricity. The technique is called as hydropower. Electrical energy can be derived from water flow. When the water falls from a height like hilly areas, will be suitable for producing electricity using the flowing water. Flowing water does not cause environmental pollution. Production of the hydroelectricity does not cause environmental pollution and waste generation. So in the hydropower plants, the kinetic energy of the flowing water is converted into electricity, and this is what is called as hydroelectricity. Next is the tidal energy. So tide means waves. Tidal energy is the energy obtained from the movement of the water due to ocean tides. Tides are rise and fall of the sea level. that is caused by the combined effect of gravitational force. So tide stream is a fast flowing body of the water. A tidal stream is a fast flowing body of the water that is created by tides. Turbines can be placed in this tidal stream, and when the tides hit this turbine, the turbine rotates and converts the tidal energy into electrical energy. What are the advantages of tidal energy? Tidal energy does not produce any pollution. It does not cause any wastage of fuel, or it does not produce any waste material. Tides are predictable, and so tidal energy can be produced at any time. Water is denser than air, and therefore water can generate electricity even at lower speed than wind turbines. Next we are going to learn about rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a technique of collecting and storing the rainwater and use it for the future. It is a traditional method. We store rainwater in underground tanks, ponds, lakes, dams, and we use it for future. The main purpose of rainwater harvesting is to make the rainwater to percolate or penetrate through the soil and reach the underground water, and it recharges the groundwater level. So rainwater harvesting can be done by collecting the rainwater from the rooftop. This is rooftop rainwater harvesting. What are the methods of rainwater harvesting? Rooftop are excellent rain catchers. The roof will catch the rainwater that will be diverted through the pipes, which is collected and stored in the surface tank and can be used for the domestic purpose. And it can be done in all the types of houses, apartments, commercial buildings, etc. Secondly, recharge pits. So here in this method, the rainwater will be first collected from the rooftops or open spaces, and this water will be directed into the percolation pits through the pipes. First it will be filtered. After filtration, the rainwater will enter into the recharge pits or ground wells. Kenaru. These are the pictures of the different methods of rainwater harvesting. People who are living in the rural areas will adopt variety of water collecting methods. First one is digging of tanks and lakes, airies. So constructing airy in Tamil Nadu is a traditional water harvesting system. Airies are constructed in such a way that if the water in one airy overflows, it will get diverted automatically to the airy of the next village. And so these airies are interconnected. What are the advantages of rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting helps us to overcome the rapid depletion of groundwater levels. It will help us to meet the increased demand of water because of increased population. It reduces the flood because we are diverting the rainwater to percolate under the ground. It reduces the flood and it reduces the soil erosion. Water stored in ground will not get contaminated, and so it can be used for drinking purposes. Next we are going to learn about the electrical energy management. Electricity or electric power. It is produced by generators. Generators are operated by turbines. Turbines are rotated by steam, moving water, wind power to produce the electricity. So which type of bulb we use? Instead of using the tungsten filament bulb, we can use the CFL, compact fluorescent lamp, to conserve energy. Conservation of electrical energy. How to conserve electrical energy? Some measures can be followed to conserve electricity at home and schools. By using compact fluorescent bulb, CFL, light emitting diode, LED bulbs and other electric equipments which are considered as the energy efficient appliances, we can conserve electrical energy. By switching off the lights and fans, television and other electrical appliances when we are not using them, we can conserve electricity. Switch off the mobile phone chargers when we are not using them. By maximizing the use of solar radiation, we can minimize the use of electricity. Solar water heating system can be used instead of electric geysers. Minimize the use of air conditioners. E-waste. What are e-waste? E-waste are generally called as electronic waste. This include spoiled, outdated, non-repairable electrical and electronic devices. And these wastes contain toxic metals like lead, cadmium, chromium and mercury, along with iron, copper, silicon, aluminum and gold. These metals can be recovered, whereas the toxic metals, they will pollute the earth. Only 5% of e-waste can be recycled. Other things are accumulated on the earth's surface. What are the sources of e-waste? Electronic devices like computers, laptops, mobile phones, printers, monitors, television, DVD players, calculators, toys, sports equipment, etc. Household electrical appliances like refrigerator, washing machine, microwave oven, mixer, grinder, water heater, etc. Accessories like printing cartridges, batteries and chargers are also considered as the e-waste. See the accumulation of e-waste. Computer components alone contribute 66% of e-waste, telecommunication components 12%, electronic components 5%, biomedical components 7%, and other components contribute to the e-waste for 6%. What is the environmental impact of e-waste? So, disposal of any kind of electrical and electronic devices without the knowledge becomes landfill and land pollutant, as well as water pollutant. Health effect of e-waste. Lead will damage the central and the peripheral nervous system. It affects the brain development of children. Chromium causes asthmatic bronchitis. Cadmium when it gets accumulated in the kidney and liver causes damage to the organs and neural damage. Mercury causes chronic damage to brain and the respiratory system. Plastics including polyvinyl chloride, PVC in short, burning of this PVC produces dioxin which causes developmental and reproductive problems, damages the immune system of human beings.